if all that were like to and able to, please rise for the invocation led by Pastor Frank Broyles, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Chair.
Let us pray. Long ago, your core requirement was known and was spoken and sought. That requirement comes to us today as the wisest of counsel. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly. Wondrous God, we are grateful that in these chambers this challenge is before us, and we have tonight the opportunity to advance that challenge as we pursue the commonwealth of this city. And our hope is that this justice and mercy will grow and be advanced as democracy is followed, as people are heard, as leaders step forth, and we make those deep connections for a stronger and better civic life. This is our hope and this is our prayer, and it's offered in the confidence of the hope that never dies. Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Broyles. The minutes from the May 22nd meeting have been received and they'll stand approved if there's no objections. We're now at resolutions and special recognitions. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could call our Director of Parks and Recreation, Greg Patterson, to up front. Greg, we have some young people we want to recognize for great feats in the athletic field, don't we?
Yes, Mayor, we do, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you tonight 7 of the best athletes in the Huntsville area. Tonight we have 2 track athletes, track and field athletes, and 5 tennis players. So when I call their name, I'd like for them to come forward, and I'll tell you which school and what sport. So we'll start out with Robert Bryant, Johnson High School. If Robert would come up here, please, sir. Robert is the Class 4A state champion at 800 meters this year. So an outstanding senior. I think he told me he's going to be running at A&M next year. Is that correct? Yes, right. All right, congratulations to you there. So thank you, Robert. Also track and field, Paul Richardson. Paul is from Whitesburg Christian Academy. He is the state champion in Class 1A in 2 events, 1,600 meters and 3,200 meters. And according to his coach, he got sick, or he might have been the state champion at 800 meters as well. So congratulations to Paul Richardson. Thank you, Paul. All right, at this time, we're going to get to tennis. We'll start out with 2 young ladies from Madison Academy. Sydney Holman, if you'd come forward, please. And Erin Young. Okay, if y'all just stay up here for a minute. Sydney is the singles champion, #1 singles champion in Class 1A through 3A for this year. So she won the singles herself, and then she and Erin partnered for the #1 doubles championship, 1A through 3A. So an outstanding year for both of these young ladies. Congratulations to you. Some of you ladies don't know now, Mayor Battles played some tennis, so if y'all want to challenge him, I don't think he's played a lot since he became mayor, have you? No. Okay, we've got 3 more. Corey Davis, come up here from Randolph. And classes 4A and 5A play together in tennis. Corey is the #5 singles champion in the state of Alabama from Randolph.
Congratulations.
And the last 2 young ladies are from Huntsville High School. With Andrea and Laura Walker come up here, and I found out just a few minutes ago they're sisters. So on the same team. Okay, which one is Andrea? Okay. All right, Andrea is the Class 6A state champion at #4 singles, and her sister Laura is the Class 6A state champion at #6 singles. So congratulations to both of y'all. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Congratulations.
What a great thing to be able to recognize our young people for all their achievements. So congratulations to each of you. And now we have a very special recognition. Harry, Harry Hobbs, would you please come up because we have our CAFY Youth of the Month.
We're very pleased and happy on behalf of the mayor, City of Huntsville, and Chief Lewis Morris, Huntsville Police Department, the Community Awareness for Youth. We want to recognize Miss Sabrina Swistick as our June, come on down, ma'am, as our June Young Citizen of the Month, as our committee comes forth to present some items to her. This young lady, a recent graduate of John Pope II Catholic High School, she had a 4.5 GPA. She has a veterinarian scholarship waiting for her at Mississippi State. She's a black belt. She's in the Culture Club. Her science projects have gained national recognition. She gives back to the animal shelters. You name it, this young lady is trying to do it to help her community and to be the best person she can be. And so with that said, I'll turn it over to HRC representative.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hobbs. The Human Relations Commission of the City of Huntsville is proud to honor you today, Sabrina, as the CAFY June Citizen of the Month. So congratulations for all you do.
Sabrina, it's wonderful to see young folks in our community doing so much good, and also what you two do to influence all the other young people. It's just wonderful. Thank you very much.
And you're going to have your Kodak moment with the mayor.
Oh, good. Come on in
There
here.
you go. There you go.
Got it. Congratulations very much. Thank you for all you've done.
It's an honor.
Thank you, City Council. Here's a coin for memory, a CAFY coin.
No.
Thank you all.
Harry, thank y'all for doing this. This is very important to our community. We need to recognize those who step out and do great things for us. So congratulations again.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. We have one resolution commemorating the life of Reverend Dr. William T. Gladys. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Dr. Showers, do you want to say anything about this
Mr.
resolution?
President, I wanted to just do the first paragraph. I will be presenting this resolve at the memorial service tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the historic St. Bartley Primitive Baptist Church. The City Council and Mayor of the City of Huntsville apprised of the passing of Reverend Dr. William T. Gladys, pastor of St. Bartley Primitive Baptist Church, the mother church of the National Primitive Baptist Convention and the oldest black church in the state of Alabama. He was the 8th pastor of St. Bartley Primitive Baptist Church, where he served over 27 years. A service in memory of Dr. Gladys will be at 6 p.m. tomorrow, and a celebration of life service will be at 1 a.m. on Saturday, June 14th, with Dr. Bernard C. Yates officiating the St. Bartley Primitive Baptist Church with entombment at Meadowlawn Garden of Peace. Tomorrow, as I indicated, I will present this at the memorial service on behalf of our mayor and the full council members. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. On the agenda tonight, the administration has asked that we consider 15 double C, and so I will be asking for unanimous consent vote to do so at that appropriate time. We do have business with outside legal representation. We have a council decision regarding a personnel hearing for Walter Dixon III. The chair moves to uphold the decision of the Personnel Committee. Second by Mr. Kling. Discussion.
Mr. President, I'm supporting your motion. I think it's very charitable. I would have been inclined to actually come up with a stiffer penalty, but I do agree with your recommendation. I'll certainly support it.
Thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carries. We're now at public hearings to be held. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of demolishing the property located at 2821 Union Drive Northwest. Mr. Binion?
Yes, this property identified in this resolution was previously declared unsafe and authorized for demolition. This resolution authorizes for the assessment of the cost of demolition and removal of debris from the property listed. Attachment A identifies the owner, the date that community development took action, and the cost for demolition and removal of debris from the property. The cost was $6,739.88. The owner received a written request for payment and failed to respond, so I'm requesting that an assessment be placed on the property to collect our costs. The owner was notified of this proposed action and may wish to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Binion. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of the cutting and removing of grass and weeds against certain properties. Mr. Binion?
Yes, this resolution identifies 28 properties that were in violation of the city's grass and weed ordinance. These properties identified on attachment A by the owner and location. The owners received written notification by regular mail that they were in violation of our ordinance and were given 14 days to correct the violation. All 28 owners failed to respond, and community development issued work orders to cut these properties at a total cost of $6,259.15 and an average cost of $223.55. Attachment A also identifies the date and cost for cutting these properties. The owners received a written request by regular mail for payment and they failed to respond, so I'm requesting that property assessments be placed on these properties in order to collect our costs. The owners were notified of this proposed action and could wish to speak tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Binion. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of the boarding and securing against certain properties. Mr. Binion?
Yes, the property identified in this resolution was declared unsafe by the Community Development Department. The owners were given 30 days in accordance with the unsafe building ordinance to get permits and start work on correcting the noted violations. Since the owner failed to respond to the notices and since the properties were standing open and accessible, community development staff boarded and secured these properties. Attachment A identifies the owners and the dates that community development took action and the cost for boarding and securing this property. The total cost was $254.37. The owners received written requests for payment and failed to respond, so I'm requesting that an assessment be placed on the property to collect our costs. The owners were notified of this proposed action.
Thank you, Mr. Binion. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It carries. Mr. Kling.
While Mr. Binion's here, and just something I'd like to ask if you could look into. As we all know, there was through the appeal process, the Alabama State Supreme Court ruled in favor of the city on the vegetation house that I believe it was on the eastern part of Ward Avenue, Mr. Hester that we had that went on for a long period of time. And there's a house that I believe would be somewhat similar to that at 300 Sunset Avenue in the Mayfair neighborhood. I'd like to ask you if you could look at that house. It's had a long history, and see if that would meet the same criteria that y'all went through on on that other house.
We went out and looked at that property today. We don't think it meets that criteria, but we will be taking action on that property within the next few days.
May possibly not even have utilities, but the neighborhood is,
Okay.
Just before he goes back, I do know that your department went out to Norma Heights at a similar, and I was in communication with you. Have we been able to ascertain whether we could do any more than what we've done based on what's there now?
We did write some notices on those properties out there. We consider that property to be in its natural state where it's never been developed, as opposed to the property on Pratt Avenue that Mr. Kling was speaking of. But we did write notices on that property this week.
Okay, thank you.
We're now at public hearings to be set. B1 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance rezoning property lying on the east side of Quality Circle and north of Governor's West from Research Park Application District to Research Commercial District. This will be set for the July 24th, 2014 regular council meeting.
Move to approve.
second.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Ms. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor of setting the hearing say aye. Opposed? It carries. 2 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance zoning newly annexed property lying on the south side of Olmsted Road and west of Taylor Road to Residence 1A District. This will be set for the July 24th, 2014 regular council meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Showers. Mr. Kling, do you second that? Mr. Kling is seconded. All those in favor, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It carries. 3 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance zoning newly annexed property lying on the east side of U.S. Highway 431 South and on the north side of Caldwell Lane to Highway Business C4 District. This will be set July 24th, 2014 at the regular council meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We're now at communications from the public. When I call your name, you have 3 minutes to address the council. Please state your name and address for the record. Ms. Egra Fallon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Edra Fallon. I am a resident at 203 Hawks Crest Circle. And I would like to read a letter to the council that was sent to the mayor concerning the rock quarry and the building of the new North High School. It is from Concerned Citizens of Huntsville, and it's dated May 16, 2014. Dear Mayor Battle, we, the undersigned Concerned Citizens of Huntsville, wish to voice our concerns about the potential financial liability of the city in implementing construction of the new Jemison High School and the new McNair Middle School on the proposed site. Specifically, we wish to call your attention to areas of concern where the city may be liable. These enumerated areas are as follows. 1, lack of a health risk assessment of the proposed site. This is due not only to the proximity of the construction site to the quarries, but also soil testing and related issues. Number 2, environmental impact assessment. Studies both for human inhabitants and native biological specimen indigenous to the area which might be endangered by such construction. Number 3, noise impact on the learning environment as well as psychological impact from historical and current quarry blasting. Number 4, potential structural damage to the new school building similar to that of homes in the area, which might shortly require litigation to resolve. We know that you have a deep interest in these matters as evidenced by your recent letter to Judge Hakila in the pending litigation. It is unfortunate that your position could not represent that of all citizens of the affected area. However, liability issues stated above will affect all of the citizens of Huntsville. For this reason, we are requesting that you request a temporary 90-day postponement to the presiding judge in the litigation case and use that time to address the issues listed above. We request that you make available funding of $250,000 for a health risk assessment study by a mutually agreed upon group, and that the city use its own environmental impact department to help with the environmental impact assessment. We are available to discuss this with you immediately. Please let us know your position on these matters without delay in order to work together or exercise other available actions. And it is signed Reverend Gregory Jerome Bentley, Dr. George Grayson, Dr. Jacob Savage, Mrs. Edra Fallon, myself, and Mrs. Patricia King.
Thank you. Councilmember, so you want to comment?
Yes.
I would, please.
Well, Dr. Showers, you go first.
No, go ahead, Mayor.
Mayor?
We have looked at these concerns, and we had a meeting yesterday with some of the citizens. I think, Pat, you were there. There were a number of other people there, about 3 or 4 other people there. And we have asked our environmental natural resources director to look at this. He has offered the office memorandum coming back. In yesterday's conversation, it mostly landed around the silica or the parts per million that were coming out of the quarry and the dangers of people breathing those parts per million. And we looked at that. We have been monitoring across the city for the past, since 1990. And we have over the last 5 years been monitoring across the city. One of the monitoring stations is at the fire station right next to where the school is being built. The allowable parts per million at the 10 centimeter or 10 parts per million allowable amount is 150. After that, you have a danger. In our estimations from 2009 to 2013, the average parts per million has been 15.5, 1/10 of the amount that is considered dangerous. The most that has come out over the 5-year period was 46 parts per million. And remember, 150 parts per million is considered something to look at after we pass that 150 parts per million. But the average last year was 13.5 parts per million. We went through this with the group there. We had a conversation about it. There was more conversation about the 2.5 parts per million, which is really the worser parts per million. Danny Shea came up and gave us his take on it and said he felt very, very comfortable with it. I will be glad to share with council and any of the public the memorandum that we have from Natural Resources. And it basically says that if you have 4 stations from throughout the city that you're doing parts per million measurements in, all 4 of them are hitting about the same number, then you don't have anything from one source that is showing that that one source is a problem. And with the parts per million we have compared to what is listed as the area of concern, we are so far under that we are in good shape. And Danny, would you please address this and kind of tell them if I have misstated in any place, because you are really our expert in the environmental sciences area.
Ms. Shea, if you'll introduce yourself for the record, please.
I'm Daniel Shea. I'm director of the city's Department of Natural Resources. Mayor, you did a good job of summarizing it. The units were off in a place or two.
Mm-hmm.
It's micrograms per cubic meter rather than parts per million, but the numbers you cited are correct. EPA standard, as the mayor mentioned, for particulate matter, PM10 is what we call it, is 150 micrograms per cubic meter. We do have a monitoring station immediately adjacent to the proposed school site, and the mayor summarized the concentrations we've measured there. Very similar concentrations across the city. They only differ by a fraction of a microgram per cubic meter. So, and again, relative to 150, a fraction of a microgram's very small amount.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Showers, did you want to comment?
Yes, before you go back to your seat, there were some earlier reports on the preparation for the testing. I noticed the mayor and you confirmed his statement that the test site was there next door to the fire station there near where the proposed New Johnson High School is going to be. Now, I was at a meeting where that was not the case, that another location was used to come up with the results. Can you tell me, Mr. Shea, where all of the testing for the quarry, the testing that went in for the school site, that they said they also did, and that the city is saying it did a test on that piece of property? Do you have the documents to show the findings of those findings?
I do not have a copy of any.
Who would have that, Mr. Shea?
Well, any testing that the school system had done, they would have. We have operated a monitoring station there for many years, and the data that both the mayor and I summarized are from our monitoring site.
Okay, when was the last time, Mr. Shea, just trying to get to the bottom of it, that we did a testing, a monitoring testing at that site?
We test there every 6 days, and it's every 6 days so that you don't always test on the same day of the week. And we've been testing every 6 days for many years.
What would be the difference in the finding in recording the testing on a Sunday rather than any other day of the week when the quarry is in operation?
Well, there may be differences by day of the week, but as I said, our sampling schedule is designed so that we cover all the days of the week.
Now, final question. Do you have that data?
Yes,
Is it available to the public?
it is. In fact, it's housed in a national database that EPA maintains. We supply our data to the EPA database, and any member of the public can access that, or they can contact our office and we'll provide
Okay.
copies of that
Who
data.
did the final testing for the site that the school board is recommending?
The final, I'm not sure I understand
I'm
the
talking
question.
about the information derived from testing the area, the soil, the boring that was done. Who did that?
Oh, I don't know, Dr. Showers.
Who did it for the city when it did its testing?
Well, we operate an air monitor at the fire station.
Okay,
And we operate that monitor.
okay.
But we don't do any soil borings or,
Well, how do you know about the soil without testing it?
Dr. Showers, our conversation was about the air quality and the air silica which was coming up in the air, not the soil quality, not the blasting or any of that. That was our conversation yesterday. It dealt mainly with air pollution and the idea that what we need to do to make sure that we had safe air up there.
Okay.
None of our conversations had to do with that other.
Okay, I was asking Mr. Shea. Mr. Shea, did you hear my question?
as far as soil testing?
Now, if we're gonna put a building, if the city was gonna build a building anywhere, we got a lot of new businesses coming to Huntsville, and most of those site preparations require drilling for the soil sample. Now, are you saying that we have not done that on that site where the school is proposing? I mean, I'm talking about the city of Huntsville.
We have not, in terms of, and typically soil borings are done for, to test the suitability of the soil, whether, from a structural standpoint. not
Okay,
from
who would have the information, and I'm gonna let you go, who would have the information that soil testing was done before the board? Mayor, did we participate in the purchase of that property?
No, sir.
Before they bought that property, do we have documentation that they did in fact do a drill testing, a soil testing?
I don't know whether they did or not. Typically, what is done before property is acquired is what's called a Phase 1 environmental site assessment is done, where the history of the property is looked at. And it's my understanding that the school system did have a Phase 1 done on that property, but I don't have a copy of that document.
Mayor, is there anyone on your team can request that information?
Sure. We'll be glad to request it. It's not required on any builder that we gather that information. It's their responsibility to gather that information. But as I'm like Mr. Shea, I did hear that they did do that, and so we'll be glad to ask for it.
Okay.
And
Would it be made available to the public?
I don't know the answer to that, Dr. Showers.
Mayor,
Whether that's
do you
public
know
knowledge.
whether or not the board would make that available to the public?
I don't know, but I would guess that they would.
Well, the reason that I ask, there's been several opportunities where the public, citizens, have requested information and was not made privilege to that information. But you're saying now you believe that that information will be made available?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll ask for it. Be
Thank you,
glad
sir.
to.
Anyone else? Miss Jackie Reed?
Here's that answer in the letter. It has
Good evening.
Good evening.
I almost forgot what I was going to say. Thank you.
we've had.
Thanks for allowing public input. Address, Bob Wallace Avenue. 1958, when my husband and I came to town, we moved on Bob Wallace Avenue. I'm about a half a block from the same place I started in 1958. 55 years. Happy birthday to Miss Pearlie. We all need to sing happy birthday or say happy birthday to Miss Pearlie. She don't want no singing, but happy birthday.
Mr. Reed, why don't you get us started?
No, I won't start it. She don't want to.
Okay.
Anyway, there's a lot of good things happening in the city. Oh, coming from me, that's unusual. I want to congratulate all the young people that I see at the school board and see them here in the city. I really want to thank you all for talking to the state about the lines, the white lines. It's been widened. Appreciate that. We can see how to drive. The reflectors, they're good on the streets where we can see how to drive. I want to thank whoever went out to Hermitage Avenue this week and worked on that street, coming out of that street right there. I want to thank whoever's doing that, but they do have a new inspector. That will be me. Y'all can inspect it, but then I'll inspect it also. But it looks good, and I hope everybody's happy and the cars don't roll out into the street. There's one bush sitting out there, though, I wish the traffic engineer would look at. Maybe it would help us to see up and down the streets a little bit better. Several things of concern in me. Did the city ever receive any money on the jail lawsuit? I never heard. I'm concerned. If we got big money packed up out there and we don't know about it, sometimes, somebody answer that question. I'd like to have an answer on that. Did we ever get any money out of the jail lawsuit? That's been hanging out there way too long. Why in the world does the city keep building lakes further out, keep on developing, shopping centers, hotels, and young professionals? That's the three issues that really get to me, sort of, kind of. It's not about all the people in all the city, but we need to make that bunch happy. We really do. There's 37 empty buildings in the mall. In the mall. That is very, very sad. And we keep putting money into all to the new development. $8 million on Bob Wallace, $3 million out there. Millions and millions and millions. Where are you getting this money? I don't understand it. Don't answer that. I don't want to hear that answer. Because we're going to borrow it, I know. It's okay. Don't answer that. I don't want to hear that one. Anyway, do you have an interest in the Coca-Cola plant? Everybody at work saying, what's the city going to do about the Coca-Cola plant? I said, I didn't know they had an interest in it. I don't know if you do. You still got your ballpark on the brain or whatever?
Ms. Reed, your time's up.
Oh, have mercy on me. Another minute?
Council members, would you like to give Ms.
Give
Reed?
her another minute, please.
Ms. Reed, please go ahead.
I want to thank you for putting up with me for all these years, and I'm sure I'll be back. But I just want to tell all the people at the elections, when they go vote, in any election, it don't matter which one, the district lines have changed. You may not vote where you once voted. It was a short voting thing in the last election. But the city, the state, and the county all have changed their lines. We had a 10-year redistricting plan, so all you people get your minds right and go out there and vote. Thank you very, very much. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Uffron, could you answer Ms. Reed's question about the jail?
That lawsuit is still pending. We're still in mediation with regard to several of the subcontractors, and so it has not been resolved yet.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Kling.
if I could, I'd like to comment on something, I guess that was kind of raised up. I think all of us up here, the mayor and the council working together as a team, have done a lot of things taking care of what we have. One thing that we've done, I think it's been good the last couple of years, we've been putting 2/3 of our road money into neighborhood streets, and that's roughly getting picked up in neighborhoods throughout the entire city. Mayor Battle brought to the council, and I think we all are working together on it, the investment in Brand Springs Park, Merrimack Park, John Hunt Park, and possibly a new park near McDonald's School, with all those being connected. And that's in the inner central area of the city. And of course, that's going to be over multi-years, but I think that'll be a good investment within the central areas that we already have. So I think we're going out in some ways, but I think we're still inwardly taking care of and working on sprucing up what we already have.
Thank you, Mr. Kling. Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jerry Cox, 4029 Telstar Circle.
Welcome.
First, as a veteran of the United States Army, I wish to respectfully acknowledge the 9, and I repeat, the 9 U.S. Army soldiers killed in combat in Afghanistan since the last council meeting, to include 5 killed by our own airstrike. I am sure everyone remembers that last Friday, June the 6th, was the 70th anniversary of D-Day. My thoughts went back to my very good friend, Ralph Sturgill, who, as a combat engineer, was one of the first to go ashore at Normandy. He passed away several years ago. I brought him to the attention of Councilman Kling as he was a resident of District 4. Some years ago, some of you, I guess you remember, Mr. President, the council presented him with a resolution recognizing his service at Normandy. He and I are natives of the same county in Virginia. He was my friend. He was my hero. I'm sure the distinguished councilman from District 3 has heard of the Bedford Boys. On D-Day, landing craft dropped the boys from Bedford, Virginia, a town of 3,000 residents, some 150 miles from my birthplace. They dropped them in the shallow waters of Omaha Beach. Within minutes, 19 of the Bedford boys were dead. Later, 3 more sons of Bedford died. No other town in America suffered a greater one-day loss. There were 40 sons of Bedford in 3 companies of the 116th Infantry Regiment. The D-Day soldiers, we must never forget. We must never forget them, nor what they did. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Pat King.
Good evening, Mayor, council people. I'm Pat King. I live at 3415 Tall Timber Circle.
Ms. King, I'm sorry. Could you speak louder into the microphone? We're having trouble hearing you.
I live at 3415 Tall Timber Circle, Huntsville.
Welcome.
And I am one of the citizens that has been looking at the environmental data. I have been asking questions, and I have been analyzing the data. I had requested initially the data on the new school site from Mr. Shea. He sent me a letter. He sent me a summary of data. He also gave me some websites to go to obtain the data. He never did send me the raw data that was collected. It's a lot, and I may not have 3 minutes. But first of all, you all need to know what the monitoring that is done and where it's done at. The monitoring is done for particulate matter 10 at Pulaski Pike, which is adjacent to the new school site. It does not monitor 2.5 particular matter, which is smaller matter, which would be significant because of the rock quarry. And we need to understand that. Also, I pulled the data that is reported to the EPA. That's why I'm standing before you. There is enough data that would tell an educated person that we need to further analyze the air quality and do an environmental study on how that air quality impacts the citizens over there and also the children. I'm very concerned, and now I'm before the council to plead with them to do a health risk assessment. There has been a lot of concerns by the citizens over the years about the rock quarry. We have a rock quarry, we have a stone crushing rock quarry, smaller rock quarry over there, and we also have a cement company over there. That's a lot of silica debris from excavating the limestone. There is no way that you can convince a citizen that it is healthy over there in that environment and to allow students to go to a school so close to that rock quarry. We have 2 other schools over there that currently exist. They should be also evaluated and analyzed. Just because we've done things in the past doesn't make them right. We need a complete health risk assessment. And I'm here before you to tell you that it
Ms.
is
King,
a concern.
your time's up. Do you need another minute?
Another minute, because
Yes, please go ahead.
based on the data, you need a unbiased assessment to say that the environment is a healthy environment for its citizens and the children over there. And right now, you do not have that. Thank you.
Council members, moving on. 8 is Huntsville utility items.
Mr. President, and can I say this?
Yes, sure.
We will provide each of the council members the office memorandum from Danny Shea with Natural Resources. I've got to say that Mr. Shea looks at these things and he just looks at the facts. He just looks at the facts, the figures, how the figures come out. And that's how he makes his decisions on these. I mean, he doesn't have a dog in either fight. He doesn't, however the numbers come out, he looks at them. He's a scientist. He's not into anything else. And so I would hope that everybody would understand that that is his job, and his job is to make sure that we have what we check on the environment, that the environment is right. And that is just the air quality now. That is the air quality side of it. So I will send everybody, all the council members, and we'll have this available for any of the public who wants to see it, the office memorandum that addresses the letter. And I think I also have a copy of the letter involved too. So everybody can see the city of Huntsville's answer on that.
Thank you. Ms. Culver.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mayor, I certainly, like you, have the confidence in Mr. Shea. I've worked with him over the years in the Magistrates Division. However, seemingly and through his own statements, that he's basically concerned with just one particular aspect of that. And seemingly what I'm hearing is a conglomeration of things. I don't know how difficult it could be if we were to employ a team to cover all of the concerns. And maybe that is something that we can entertain perhaps after we have received data from the school system in terms of their studies to see if there are any areas that have been missed. I'm just a firm believer in measuring 10 times and cutting once. I would be saddened, if there were to be some concerns that we haven't addressed, and 10, 15 years from now when we are not here, kids and families, are suffering. So I don't think that we can be too careful. I'm certainly in support of the school being there. The school board has made that decision. I am certainly supporting the school board, but along with that, I do want us to be extremely meticulous. And this is not the first time that I've heard these concerns, but I think they certainly warrant addressing collectively with the school board to see if there has been any stones or stone left unturned. So I'm excited to get the data, look at it, we'll make it available to the public. Then we can all sit down and look at that and see if all of the areas that you all have articulated this evening have been addressed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. President.
Dr. Showers.
Just before we move on, Ms. King, would you come back to the stand?
Dr. Showers, please give me your intentions, because this is out of order. If
You asked me if I had.
you have the floor, do you want? Are you going to ask Ms.?
Just like the mayor made his comments, I'm going to make mine.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to make comments, but if you're going to ask citizens to
Well,
comment, then I need to
The only
know.
way that I can get is because I heard her say that she made a request and the raw data, I don't really understand what raw data is. The mayor just whispered to me that he's going to send me a copy of what Mr. Shea has sent. But if you made a request and you really didn't get all of what you requested, I need for that to happen from Mr. Shea or whoever has got the raw material. And I guess that's information that you did not receive.
That is correct.
Ms. Mayor, is that possible to get that?
It would depend on what raw data Ms. King's looking for. I'll be glad to get Mr. Shea with her, but he's given her the numbers that we have found when we did our monitoring, and that's the raw data that we have. That is the city of Huntsville raw data.
Let me
I'm sorry, Dr. Showers, do you want this to go on like this?
Mr. President, if you don't mind, would you let her explain what she, obviously the mayor, none of me understand what raw data is, and she's ready to tell us what it is.
Okay.
I would be
Ms. King, you have the floor.
I would be very quick. I'm asking for the data that was recorded, the air quality at Pulaski Pike Monitoring Station. The data that has been provided is the data that was submitted to the EPA, and the data that's contained in the letters that Mr. Shea provided are summarized data. I would like to have the raw data.
The data of the testing numbers from every 6 days for how long back?
From 2000.
2000 through 2014, every 6 days data. Do you have that? Do you carry it back that far?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
Councilmembers,
too.
Mayor, I know
don't
y'all like
either.
to do this, but we do have a meeting to run. And I'm going to continue on because this seems to be the wishes of the council to run the meeting like this. Mr. Shea, will you go to the microphone? You have the floor, and keep in mind we have a record here we've got to keep.
We do have that data, Mayor, and Ms. King referenced that I gave her the website that you can access that data through EPA's database. It's the same data, but we can pull that data. My understanding is she has already done that. We can pull that same data from the EPA database, which is the data we fed to that database, and provide that to Ms. King.
Good.
We ready to move on?
Yeah.
We're at 8 Huntsville utility items. Mr. Olszewski is recusing himself from this issue and will abstain on all votes. Council members, are there any items you'd like to hold of these 5? I'm going to hold 8B. So we'll consolidate and approve 8A, 8C, D, and E. 8A is a resolution authorizing approval to purchase 8 copier machines and sports services. C is a resolution authorizing the approval to relocate overhead cable to clear a road widening project. D is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute agreement with TVA for the Home Energy Survey Program to promote more energy efficient existing home designs. E is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute agreement with TVA to terminate the Cycle and Save programs that supports TVA's peak load reduction efforts. The chair moves to consolidate and approve 8A, C, D, and E.
Second.
Second by Ms. Kling. All those in favor of consolidation approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 8B is a resolution authorizing approval to purchase consulting services for a fiber financial model and business plan. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Kling. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Mr. Gerdes, can you explain this, please?
Certainly. Joe Gerdes, Huntsville Utilities. For probably a little over a year now, we have been in discussions with Broadband Group, which is the consultant referred to in the agreement on the agenda, to evaluate the fiber system that we have in place. That fiber system that we have in place is something we refer to as a backbone. And it provides services to Huntsville Utilities for our SCADA network. It's system monitoring through fiber. And we also provide some services to the city of Huntsville. There has been some interest and some discussion about having that system evaluated to see if we could expand those services to perhaps include some commercial interests in our service area. And so this agreement would be we've already had the evaluation on whether or not our current network could support that expansion. So this is to evaluate the feasibility of the business decision to move forward.
And so the business decision is profit or loss to provide the service to a customer.
Well, certainly, and there's been a lot of discussion lately about the interest in this, and because it would be a significant investment on the part of Huntsville Utilities, and obviously, you know, we are a not-for-profit utility, and any investment of that magnitude we would want to look at very carefully, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. President, I might add that we have been having a working group who's been working on the fiber and digital information transfer in this area for the past 3 years, and realistically we met Tuesday a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking about the same thing that Chattanooga has, fiber to the home. This is, in the future, is going to be one of the foundations, one of the fundamentals that you have to have as your infrastructure. Just as much as you have roads and sewer and water, you're going to have fiber, and we're looking just at all elements of how it can be done, and what the best way to do is. If we can have private companies do it, more power to them. If we talk to our public utilities about it, it may have some interest in there, but it is a very important issue that will hit us in the future, especially if we're going to be a highly technical engineered city. So this is just kind of the start of looking and seeing what some of our options are in this.
Yes, and Mayor Battle, I appreciate y'all looking at this, because I do hear this from companies, and I think it's a good thing to do.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kling?
Mr. Gerdes, for the proverbial little old lady in tennis shoes out there that I'm going to see at the Merrimack cookout Saturday afternoon, can you tell me how I can explain to her in terms that she'll understand what this will be used for by the average citizen in the future if it becomes a reality?
Well, that would remain to be seen, Mr. Kling, because the evaluation that we're doing at this time is what Mayor Battle referred to. This would be for, at this point anyway, commercial use that I'm aware, and I have been involved in some of the discussions. We are not talking about fiber to the home at this point. That certainly could become a possibility, but that is not the study that we're looking at here.
This would be for like high-tech companies, research park, those types of.
Yes, sir.
entities.
And it could also be even possibility of data sharing between Huntsville Utilities and some of our sources and sites that we have, with them running the backbone and us running off that backbone. I think there's a lot of ways to look at this. If Huntsville Utilities can provide the backbone of the fiber, then there's several different ways to look at it. We would be very interested in it for traffic management, for traffic light management, for even going down as far as lighting in certain areas where, when you have areas that you have concern about, you brighten up the lights and you use your fiber to do that. So there's a lot of areas that this fiber is going to be kind of the infrastructure of the future, and this is something very important that we do over the next several years, so that we're ready for that future. And the little lady in the tennis shoes is going to find that she is going to need that fiber in place so that she can get from here to there to use good traffic management, to use good traffic management flows in the future. So I think that she'll see just as much a benefit off of it as Huntsville Utilities will, as other outside companies will.
And just to piggyback on that, you know, that we do have a fiber network that is in place, and this is the investigation of if or how we expand that network to include these services. Given that we already have it in place, it would be a mistake not to look at that.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries with Mr. Olszewski abstaining. We have a board appointment to be voted on. We have a resolution to reappoint Reverend Willie Hinton to the Huntsville Police Citizens Advisory Council for a term to expire June 22nd, 2016.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We have several board appointment nominations. We have a nomination to reappoint Ronald Bowles to the Huntsville Electric Utility Board for a term to expire July 1st, 2017 by Mr. Kling. We have a nomination to reappoint Stanley Statham to the Huntsville Natural Gas Utility Board for a term to expire July 1st, 2017 made by Mr. Kling. We have a nomination to reappoint Stanley Statham to the Huntsville Water Utility Board for a term to expire July 1st, 2017 made by Mr. Kling. We have a nomination to appoint John Gully to the Barrett Memorial Committee for a term to expire October 1st, 2016, made by the chair. Are there other nominations?
Mr. President.
Mr. Kling.
Pam Cobb, who serves as the District 4 representative on the Human Relations Commission, contacted me, and because of her work responsibilities, she wishes to resign. And in her place, I would like to nominate Mark, and I'm going to have to spell this, Poslajko. Mark serves as the Vice President for the Holiday Homes Neighborhood Association, and I think would be a good member.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Yes. I'd like to nominate for another term, the Huntsville Police Citizens Advisory Council for District 3 Rep, Vicky Guerreri.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. President. I'd like to nominate for reappointment to the Huntsville Police Citizen Advisory Council, District 5, Mr. James Bailey.
Thank you. Any further nominations?
Mr. President, I would like to submit the name of Joseph A. Lee, Downtown Redevelopment Authority, Group C.
Thank you. Any other nominations?
Mr. President,
Mr. Culver.
I'd like to nominate Dr. Ed Winter Merriweather
For
to the
Councilman, do you need the board appointment list?
Hold that thought. I'm sorry.
You have no motion?
I disregard
No,
that.
no, no.
Thanks. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Councilmembers, we through with nominations? We're now at 10, approval of expenditures. 10A is a resolution authorizing expenditures for payment. Mr. Kling.
Mr. President, move for payment of vouchers in the amount of $15,619,886.12.
Thank you, Mr. Kling. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Mr. Kling, do you have a Finance Committee report?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to turn it over to Randy Taylor, Finance Director, for an update on sales tax.
Council members and Mayor, I can give you a report on May sales tax. We finished those figures just today. The month of May was 6.6% higher than May of 2013. And year to date, that means that we were at about 2% growth rate for the first 7 months of the fiscal year. So that's notably better, you may recall, than what I reported a month ago, where April was flat and we were at 1.5%. So as is the case with any particular month, we learn a lot about the variances from one month to the next, and we could not fully explain why April was so low, contrary to our expectations. We know a bit more about that. We do have payments that we see in one month that belong in other months. That's just the nature of the $5,000 we get every month. So if you look at all of that together, May is not quite as strong as what I just reported, but April was much better. So with all that said, the year-to-date figures are still at 2%, which is much better, gives us greater confidence as we look at the last 5 months of the year, and helps close that gap that we were staring at a month ago. All of our other revenues are still about what we expected and reported last month and at mid-year review. Privilege licenses is our second highest source of revenue, and it has been below budget as well, but it's improved in May, so we think that we've got a better feel for where we'll end on that. So we're still looking right now on total revenues at about a 2% shortfall. That's between $1 million and $1.5 million at current rates. So that's not a large figure in the grand scheme of things, but of course we have to watch it because it represents real money to us. So all of our other figures, we've completed the May financial statements already for our spending side, and we do have some issues that we're watching. Fortunately, right now, most of those are offsetting. Personnel, of course, is our largest expense, and we're pushing the envelope on some of our budgetary requirements there, but we're managing that right now within the scope of everything we do. So anyway, revenues are better. That's good news, and we'll continue to watch it and report to you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mayor Battle?
Thank you, Mr. President. For the record, Tony Antonios, who was a member of our planning commission, died just recently, and I'd like for everybody to keep his family and friends in thoughts and prayers. He was a great member of the commission. He was a good person on the commission. He came from the builders community, and he had expertise in the builders community and brought that expertise to the commission. So we would like for everybody to keep him in your thought, keep him and his family in your thoughts. To replace Tony, we would like to announce the following appointments: Steve Strickling to the Planning Commission for a term to expire 10/26/2015. Steve lives on Green Mountain and will be the builder's representative on there, and he is in the building business also. I would like to piggyback on Ms. Reed's comments. Happy birthday, Pearlie Stamper. This is her 29th birthday, held over a couple of times, and we'd like to tell Ms. Pearlie happy birthday. She runs the council office and is our person that we go to many times to solve things, so happy birthday, Pearlie. Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Davis and Mr. Taylor have been working together to start working on this budget for next year. And I will tell you, as Mr. Taylor just announced, we have been down, and all of a sudden we're up 1 month. But we budget on a 3% increase in sales tax. We are at 2% increase in sales tax to date. It will take a lot to pull us up to 3%. I may sound like a broken record, but it will again be a budget year that will be somewhat tight. We are having lots of upward pressure, especially from outside groups that we fund, asking for more funding and more financing, and it's going to be tough to do. And everybody needs to know that from the very, very front and the very outset. We have two priorities in the city budget that we're looking at. One is our retail corridors, both north and south retail corridor. On the Parkway is doing some work on those to make sure that we take care of some of the areas that, quite frankly, appear somewhat blighted, and taking those down, make them a redevelopment site, and see if we can't do redevelopment after the Parkway overpasses are finished. I think it would help both in perception and perception of the success of the areas. Second thing that we will be looking at is public safety, policemen on the streets. We will be looking at that and seeing what we can afford and how we can afford that. That is not a cheap thing. Each person coming to the field cost us a base salary plus a 40% benefits package, so we know that it will be expensive, but it's something I think that we're going to have to be looking at when we're now 210 square miles. We need to have the police force that can cover that 210 square miles. So we are looking at that. We've had some other requests for outside agencies and internal requests to look at funding on items. I don't look for a lot of areas that we can go, that we can increase, but we will be talking to our department heads in July. We will have a meeting with them all throughout July, so we're just in the midst of starting that process. If you remember, our year ends in October 1st, and so we've got another 4 months of this year that we are working on. But if we work on the traditional historical numbers, we're going to be coming in right about even, maybe just a little bit down, but very, very workable for us. But the two items that we're talking about are larger ticket items, and will probably take up any increase that we will be able to have. So I just want to give the council kind of the initial overview of where we are budget-wise. I look forward to the day when I can come to you and say that we have all the money that we need. We're going to do everything, but unfortunately, in the 6 years that I've been here, we've never done that. We always end up with this much need and then this much resources. And that's part of our job in budgeting, is making sure that we make this much resources cover this much need. So that's our job. But this is just an overview for you and to give you an initial assessment about where we are.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Mr. Kling.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was my privilege, along with Mayor Battle, to attend the Memorial Day service that was held at Maple Hill Cemetery, which, you know, I think we've heard reference about here. It's something that makes me proud to be in the community, that we have our priorities, that we do have a recognition of that level that we put on. All the organizations, the city of Huntsville, mayor staff had worked together, and it was a very, very impressive ceremony, and kind of a good, thoughtful thing to have in our community. After that, I enjoyed a great lunch of hamburgers and fried fish, courtesy of Commander Roy Hall at American Legion Post 237. And to quote my friend Dr. Showers, I did hurt myself, but it was very, very good. And it's kind of a good thing that I'm glad that we do have in our community to recognize and celebrate, you know, those sacrifices, as similar as what Mr. Cox had mentioned. Other meetings that I attended over the last couple of weeks: Holiday Homes Neighborhood Association had their meeting on the first Monday of the month, and they are very active, working on many things to improve their neighborhood. The CERT program that they do, the community watch programs that they're doing, they do a great job, especially when you consider the large geographical area that Holiday Homes makes up. Also, there was a neighborhood cookout the Madison Heights neighborhood had a couple Saturday nights ago, and good chance to see people. Mayor, please pass along, I guess he's left, but Marty Calvert had been doing yeoman's work out there a couple of years ago when we had a big flooding problem over there from some rains, and they had to redo the sewer system pipes, and those pipes, I've been told, have certainly held the capacity, and those pipes have been tested recently, and they've been holding up very well as far as the capacity of water flow and keeping that neighborhood from flooding out. Madison Heights is basically the neighborhood that's located just to the south across the street on Governor's Drive from First Baptist Church near Memorial Parkway. Also, I attended a meeting with the Rocket View Neighborhood Association, which is located in the McThormore Acres area, and they are working on several projects. And one thing I want to ask, is Jim McCuffey by chance out there? There he is, Jim. Jim, I think you had heard some concerns expressed to the neighborhoods. I don't know, I didn't get a chance to talk to you before the meeting, so I don't know if you're ready to respond or not, but are there any findings or anything that we can tell them concerning the potential of that group home going into the neighborhood if they're in the proper zoning for that area?
Yeah, well, we're still working on the.
Pardon me, Mr. Guck, if you please introduce yourself for the record.
Jim McGuffey, City Planning.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're still working on the situation on homes and have not had a final answer yet, but we're definitely investigating.
Okay, well, I appreciate you looking into that and that. Also, I'd like to commend Steve Ivy and Greg Patterson in the Recreation Department. Last week, we had arranged and had meetings between members of the Low Mill neighborhood and also another meeting with members of the Merrimack neighborhood concerning two neighborhood parks that they've been working on. One would be, I think it's going to be known as Seminole Park in the Low Mill neighborhood based upon the preferences of the neighborhood. I think Greg said that would certainly be something that could work out. And also the Jim Merrick Park, and appreciate the great work that the Recreation Department has done with working with those neighborhood folks and giving them a chance to participate and have input. And John Hamilton, what do I say? I know you've got your hands in everything, but just appreciate all the good work that you're doing, working, and helping with these neighborhood issues too. And Mr. President, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Showers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I certainly am delighted. I had an opportunity over the weekend to attend the 21st Annual Vision Banquet, Huntsville Bible College, and represented the council and mayor at that event. Also, the my notes crossed up here. Over the weekend, in fact, Saturday, Mr. and Mrs. Terry celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Was there at the BBC, and of course, on the same date, Saturday, Alabama A&M University had its 13th Annual Leadership Award Banquet. The Huntsville Progressive Alumni chapter was sponsoring that event. Certainly want to say to Terry Hatfield, Joy, and all of their team, the tremendous work and support that they did last week. Most of us know that we had a storm that was probably mostly in the north part of the city, and several of the streets over there was damaged tremendously. I was out there that night, Friday and Saturday, with the homeowners, but I must say, Joy, in the absence of Terry Hatfield, that that department was well responsive. I counted 12 trucks Friday and Saturday, and they've been coming back, picking up where they left off. And I just want to say thanks to that department for the work they did in cleaning up the debris. Most of the damage was in the Rolling Hills neighborhood, Lingale, those streets back in there, Rolling Hills, Hilltop, some of the hill, Norbrook. But our team of workers were right there working around the clock, and certainly want to say thank you. Town meeting. On Tuesday night, I had my annual town meeting. I want to thank all that came to the town meeting, especially Shane Davis, who gave a report on the state of North Huntsville. A lot of information, some he could reveal, some he could not, but we are excited that North Huntsville is going to get some activity. And if you give us a minute, we'll let the public know very soon who those entities are going to be. Retail sale, I can say that much. Our chief of police, is he here tonight? He was with us Tuesday night. I just want to thank him for coming. Citizens had several questions that they raised to him. And thank you very much, Chief, for being present. Kenny Anderson, is always at my town meetings. I was there as always, certainly representing the administration, and certainly delighted. Of course, Joy was there. She kind of stole the show. It was really Shane Davis, but Joy got to talking, and we couldn't stop her. But we needed that. The citizen had many questions that she informed us of, and of course, she, as always, she had some goodie bags for the public to take back to their homes. Mayor, I got a visit from a group that's called the Retired Workers, Servants, and they told me they had already talked with you and other council members, and I guess I was the last one, and I guess you was really dealing with that in your comments earlier about the ability to do a lot of things that we want to do and may not be able to do. But the retirees did come forward with a document requesting that we consider them. Legislature has passed an act that gives them some opportunity, $2 per each year that they have worked in terms of their retirement. But municipalities have to fund it. And I'm not sure that we took that yet, but I want to mention it because I told them, John, that I would mention that tonight. And certainly worthy, our retirees, I don't want to forget them, but certainly we have a budget that's slim, and if we can do something, I hope we will be able to do this. Mr. President, I want to close with wishing all fathers a happy Father's Day.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Olszewski.
Just wanted to say that I'm not. Those of you who know Lyle Broyles, his mother passed away this past week, and she was buried yesterday. And they've been here a long time, so it was a sad day for Lyle and his family. I wanted to say that I guess we get to kind of share some things around here. Mr. Culver and I got to be here together to watch the police officers get promoted today. It was a pretty neat scene. Saw a lot of guys folks make lieutenant, a lot of people make sergeant, and a lot of people make investigators. And Chief, appreciate it as always, the great job you do in making a big deal, and the families were there and all the above. I want to say that I got to have lunch served and taken care of me and 4 other guys by Jackie Reed last week. It was powerful. That young lady knows how to take care of people. And she served us very well, and it was a great time. We were there doing some business for Redstone, and it was great. But Miss Jackie, thanks for your service. That was great taking care of us. I want to make sure I throw a couple things out here. Jim McGuffey's the new guy in town, and he's very responsive. I'm really proud of that. I mean, he came up to help me with some signage issues I was having. I got to pass that on. Corey Harris, I got an issue going with some speeding on a street down in my neighborhood, and he's right already in the middle of it. And then last but not least, I had heard of the Bedford, but right before I came up here, boys, power of internet. I read about it, and you were on target because you know that better than anybody, but that was a powerful story, and so I appreciate you bringing it up tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Culver.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of quick things. One, I do want to appoint, or nominate rather, Dr. Edwinta Merriweather to the Human Relations Committee. And Councilman Kling, this is the seat that's been vacant for a minute. It's not the one that you're making the nomination for. Also, we have with us this evening, and I just happened to look up and I saw Dr. Jenny Robinson with the school board. Appreciate you being here. And I also saw Mr. Walt Hennessy, who's a board member with Huntsville South. So thank you all for being here. And Mr. President, I believe that is all that I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Dr. Showers.
if you're going to make remarks, Shane Davis just stepped in. I guess he was outside. But Mr. Davis, I want to say how much we appreciate your state of North Huntsville on last Tuesday night. Citizens were informed, and they are looking forward to the things that you expressed to the group there on Tuesday night. Just thank you so much for the report and keeping us abreast where we are and where we are going with the projects that we approved earlier in the year. We got some major streets that's going to be given attention very, very soon. Pulaski Pike, Oakwood, Sparkman Drive. Those of you who travel the north-south route on Pulaski, the intersection at Pulaski Pike, intersection at Maston Lake, those parts of that particular Pulaski Pipe is going to be redone, and we're looking forward to that. There are several other smaller streets that was mentioned, and I'll be sharing with those district people who reside on those streets that is coming. Thank you so much, Mr. Davis.
Dr. Showers, thank you. Enjoyed the meeting. It was well attended and glad to bring some good news.
Thank you. Bring some more.
Mr. President.
Mr. Culver.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Dr. Showers, for refreshing my recollection. Joey McKee, I don't know if Mr. Hatfield is here or not, but he isn't. If we could add Tucker Drive to the streets. I was approached the other night after Dr. Showers' town hall meeting about Tucker Drive, if we can put that on our list to just analyze to see if it warrants resurfacing. I've talked with the residents there, and it hasn't been repaved in over 30 years, and I know we have a lot of streets in Huntsville that haven't been repaved in 30 years. But that one, apparently, based on them, is very bad. I'll take a look at it tomorrow. And if you'll do that for me, I'll go ahead and call Dr. Showers out because Tuesday night at his town hall meeting, you tried to sit down, but he kept egging you on. So anyway, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, since my councilman acknowledged Dr. Robinson, I certainly would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Patricia King. She's spoken to us earlier. I'm told that she certainly is preparing to serve this community. And of course, we are delighted that she continues to attend these council meetings and board meetings. And you're on the right track. Just delighted to have you with the council tonight. Patricia King. Yeah. I didn't say this, Mark, but I'm going to say it now. I hope she's not offended. I'm told by her that she is interested in serving down at the Board of Education, and certainly we are delighted that she's made that commitment, and we wish you well. Also, Jeannie, we also wish you well. I don't know if I should go ahead and say why you coming.
Mr. President, council members, I've let this go too far. Council members,
right.
Please govern yourselves.
Okay.
You all know the rules,
All right.
and you're pushing it way too far.
All right. I think we all know, though.
Council members, that's enough.
Okay. Thank you.
The chair appoints James Smith to the MPO Citizens Advisory Committee on behalf of the council. And next Thursday, we will have a work session in these chambers at 5 p.m. discuss various neighborhood issues. We haven't finalized the agenda. Mr. Kling has asked for one thing. We're working on that. We'll announce the agenda on Tuesday afternoon. So next Thursday at 5 p.m. in these chambers. We're at 13, unfinished business items for action. 13A is ordinance number 14-365 to amend ordinance number 8979 classification and salary plan ordinance. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. Mr. Thompson, can you explain this, please?
Yes, sir. This is just an amendment to our classification and salary plan to amend it based upon audits that we conducted in various departments.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Thomas?
Yes, sir. Mr. Thomas, how does a department or a division request audits?
In accordance to our policy, those audit requests will come from the department head. It can be requested through the employee to the department head or at the request of the department head.
Okay, all right, all right.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. B is ordinance number 14-366 to amend budget ordinance number 13-630 to modify the authorized strength of the department. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Mr. Thomas, could you explain this, please?
Yes, sir. It's just a coordinated budget item for those job audits.
Thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 15 is new business items for consideration action. The chair holds 15L, 15M, 15Q, 15AA, 15BB, and 15CC, which will require unanimous consent to vote on tonight. Are there any other items you'd like to hold?
Would you mention those again, Mr. President?
Yes, sir. 15L is in Larry, 15M is in Mary, 15Q is in Queen, 15AA, BB, and CC. Are there any other items you'd like to hold?
Did you say double A?
Yes, sir. AA, BB, and CC.
And you said L, M, Q.
Correct.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Hearing none. 15A is a request for authorization to advertise and fill the position of Network Engineer 1 at a higher than minimum within the grade if necessary. B is an ordinance declaring certain equipment as surplus and be sold at public auction. C is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter an advertising contract with the Alabama Media Group. D is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with the low bidders meeting specifications outlined in the attached summary of bids for acceptance. E is a resolution authorizing acceptance of donations. F is an ordinance to amend budget ordinance number 13-360 by changing appropriating funding for various departments and funds. G is a request for authorization to advertise and fill the position of revenue collection clerk, grade 10 at higher than minimum within the grade if necessary. H is a resolution to enter agreement with Madison County, Alabama for election custodial services for the August 26, 2014 municipal election and any runoff election needed on October 7, 2014. I is a resolution authorizing the city attorney to settle the claim of AT&T. J is a resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to invoke National Bank Commerce Letter Credit Number 400957400 for Lanier Lake subdivision. K is a resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to invoke Renaissance Bank Letter Credit Number 3104 for Legacy Cove 3 subdivision. N is a request for authorization to advertise and fill the position of one regular full-time aquatic instructor. O is a request for authorization to advertise and fill the position of one regular full-time recreation coordinator. P is a request for authorization to advertise and fill the position of one regular full-time position of general clerk 3. R is a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the City of Huntsville and the Madison County Commission. S is a resolution authorizing the mayor to a professional service agreement with Standard and Associates, Inc. T is a resolution authorizing the mayor in an agreement with the Alabama Department of Public Safety to accept the fiscal year 2014 high-intensity drug trafficking area grant. U is a resolution authorizing the mayor in an agreement with Little John Engineering Associates doing business as G.W. Jones and Sons Consulting Engineers for land surveying services for Cecil Ashburn Drive and Sutton Road, project number 6514 RD07. V is a resolution authorizing the mayor in agreement with LBYD Inc. for engineering design services for Rideout Road Aldott improvements, project number 6514 SP17. W is a resolution authorizing the mayor to modify the agreement with LTS Construction LLC for periodic bid for emergency pipe bursting, project number 6512 SP26 by modification number 2. X is a resolution authorizing the mayor in an agreement with Garver LLC for engineering, construction, and administration services for 2014 water pollution control, sanitary sewer rehabilitation, project number 6514 SP15. Y is a resolution authorizing the mayor to agreement with Garver LLC for engineering services for co-digestion feasibility study, project number 6514 SP16. Z is a resolution authorizing agreement between Vernon Lee and the City of Huntsville for a special employment contract for a fire supply clerk. Chair moves for consolidation approval of 15A through K, 15N through P, 15R through Z.
Second.
Motion consolidated approved by the chair, second by Mr. Kling. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It carries. 15L is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute modification number 15 to the Supplemental Development Agreement 2010A between the City of Huntsville and LW Redstone LLC.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Showers, a second by Mr. Culver. Mr. Gelfron, could you explain this, please?
Members of the council, this is yet again another element of the funding mechanism for public infrastructure improvements at the EUL project out on Redstone Arsenal.
Thank you. Questions from Mr. Gelfron? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. M is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute agreement between the city of Huntsville and Limestone County, Alabama to purchase property for Old Highway 20 Phase 2 improvements.
Move to approve.
Motion by LaShower, second by Mr. Culver. Mr. Gelfand?
Members of the council, this is a right-of-way improvements project located in Limestone County. If the city has no authority to condemn property outside of its jurisdiction, and if the owners of the property do not accept the city's offer for the property in order to make these improvements, and we have to condemn, then Limestone County has agreed to conduct that condemnation for us as long as we reimburse the cost.
Thank you, sir. Questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Q is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter a professional service agreement with Atkins North America, Inc. for professional planning services related to the development of the year 2040 transportation plan. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by Mr. Culver. Mr. Madsen, my question is, why hire a consultant? Why pay $107,000, and is this needed?
This is actually for the MPO. These are funds that are already allocated. It's a pass-through. It's all federal money. Every 5 years, we do a long-range transportation plan update. It's a little beyond the scope of what we can do internally in terms of assessing modeling, in terms of looking at economic impacts, and in terms of looking at some of the general effects of the changes in the network with the computer modeling that's associated. So we bring in an outside firm. This firm has actually been pre-qualified by ALDOT, and they've been used for similar efforts in Birmingham and Auburn-Opelika MPOs.
Thank you. Questions? Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Double A is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Huntsville, Alabama and Attitude LLC for the purchase of right-of-way and green space related to Cabela's Drive. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Mr. Davis, could you explain this, please?
Good evening, council members. This is in connection with the press conference we held last week concerning Parkside Town Center, the latest development, and at the request of the mayor and the council. Before I go into details of the contracts in front of you, I just want to give you and the public one quick overview of the overall development of the project. The project, as we call, is another first for Huntsville. As you're aware, our Bridge Street Town Center is a regional retail development. It approximately has 1 million square feet of retail currently either on site or under finished construction. The development of Parkside Town Center will begin the summer of 2014. The total development will be over 250,000 square feet of new regional retail to our market. The anchor for the project is a new anchor to Alabama, and I want to conclude it's not only a new anchor for Alabama, but the anchor is not currently located in Georgia, Tennessee, or Mississippi, or the state of Florida. So it's a very major win for Huntsville as a regional retailer. The development will be part of an ongoing mixed-use center supporting Research Park, Redstone Arsenal, our Redstone Gateway, and all of North Alabama. The overall investment by the development will be $80 million. Will include shopping, dining, and hospitality. It'll be anchored by Cabela's. Cabela's is a major outdoor retailer. It's probably one of the top 3 retailers sought out in the United States for a city at this time. This is a vision of what the store will look like. This is the exact model of what will be placed in Huntsville, Alabama. The location of Parkside Town Center lies north of I-565 and south of Old Madison Pike along what we call Lake 5 of Research Park. This is zoned Research Park Commercial, so it is zoned appropriately for this development. The overall layout you see before you is Cabela's will be at the end, at the highest point of the development, kind of in the gold shaded the building. The orange buildings will be the mixed use other high-end retail, and then the hospitality is currently on site. Just to the north, I'd like to point out something that is very unique to most research and development parks, but you know, the millenniums that we're trying to recruit are looking for this type of development. We have a live-work development that has office in the front and multifamily in the back that's about 70% complete in construction that will have connectivity with a retail center. The city commitments, that's what you have before you tonight. We will make improvements from a 2-lane road to a 3-lane road. We'll provide signalization to what will be called Cabela's Drive in the current Governor's West. We'll provide standard public street signage at Old Madison Pike, kind of giving directional signage to Cabela's Drive. And we'll perform some light clearing and grubbing along our maintenance responsibilities of I-565. There's some areas that our landscape department does very well maintaining. We have a beautiful drive into our city. That's something our industry complements us very well. There's a portion there that we've always left in a natural state, just due to the fact that it wasn't needed to be cleared. We will clear that and start mowing it on a regular basis. It's not probably about 500 feet long. It's very minor. Estimated cost of these public improvements is $3 million to the city of Huntsville. They're all public improvements. There's no improvements on private property. I want to tell you there's no direct incentive to Cabela's. Cabela's is paying their own way. They've been a class act in the last 18 months that Mayor Battle and I have dealt on this project. Revenues from the development. Annual sales of Parkside Town Center is estimated, based on the retailers that are coming in, $110 million in annual sales from those retailers. That would generate $5 million annually to the city of Huntsville in new sales tax. So you can see our return on investment is less than 2 years. It's probably one of the better investments we've made in a retail development in a long time. Again, these are just some pictures of the main anchor. What I want to have before you tonight, AA, if I can, I will go through AA, B, and C, if that's okay, just to give you some background.
Let's keep it on AA if you can.
Fair enough.
Okay.
AA is a execution agreement between the City of Huntsville and Attitude to purchase the right-of-way that I just mentioned. And also, we're creating to be good stewards and want to make sure that all this works from a retail, from a livability, and from an office standpoint of Cummings Research Park. It's the second largest research park in the U.S., fourth largest in the world. So we want it to be successful. There's a 3-acre tract that is currently wooded along Quality Circle. We want that to forevermore remain a buffer between the retail and the office space. So we are purchasing that so the city remains control and can keep that control and that buffer. And we're purchasing the right-of-way and the improvements that's currently in the right-of-way to save money on our investment to this development. So that's what you have before you on AA. To reduce our cost, there's a 2-acre parcel that's part of the lake that we are trading up to reduce our cost of the 3 acres we're getting in the right-of-way. To reduce our costs, all is appraised value. What we're paying tonight is below appraised value. And the 2 acres that we are putting towards our investment, the development company is paying full appraised value to the city. So we did not discount it.
Okay, so we've got 15 AA council members. Are there questions or comments?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kling first. Mr. Culver.
Mr. Davis or Mayor, either one of y'all, do you have a general ballpark estimate as far as when this facility will be opened up?
Yes, sir. Actually, if you approve this tonight, Cabela's will be in Huntsville on Wednesday. They will bring their full team in to get started. They want to enter our market just as quickly as possible. It will open the fall of 2015 at the latest. They are trying to accelerate a current 14-month construction schedule into 9 months. They really want to come in our market, and I commend Mayor Battle for selling our city. At the end of the day, he got it done. They believe in our city, they believe in our community, they believe in our market, and they want to get here quick.
Yeah, I'd like to echo the comments and commend Mayor Battle for doing this. I know we all of us are here at the table with different projects, emphasis, areas of interest, and Mayor, you've been on a great roll lately with all these economic development, retail projects that you brought in, and this is certainly a great thing for the city. Congratulations.
Thank you for the accolades, but they are undeserved. Mr. Davis has landed a lot of this, especially the Cabela's, and worked very hard on the Remington, on the Boeing. He's done a marvelous job, and he and the team that has been established here is a team effort, and everybody has played a part in it. Everybody from city administrator to urban developer to everybody across the board has been a part of that team that's made this happen. So the accolades go to them.
Mr. Culver.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very quickly, I also wanted to just ditto what Councilman Kling has said. I'm still amazed at how we can attract such a business with such small investment. We're getting all of our monies back, like you said, within 2 years, and 5 million above that each year indefinitely. I mean, that is amazing, and my hat's off to you and city administrator, and of course Mayor Battle as well. I know that he's a former commercial guy, so he's very instrumental. But Shane, I know you and your crew have worked diligently and very hard with that over the last year and a half, and the Chamber of Commerce, and just my thanks to everybody who's involved, and that's going to really help us to stabilize Bridge Street, because we don't want to wait until it gets to a point where it's, you know, in a situation or becoming blighted. So I'm excited about this project. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Dr. Showers.
I need to ask Mr. Davis. Gander Mountain is in my district. What impact is this going to have on them?
Dr. Showers, you know, when we started trying to lure Cabela's to Huntsville, we showed them 16 sites. And we were very careful of where we showed those sites. The last thing we want to do is bring a retailer in that will cannibalize some existing business in Huntsville. So them being on the western corridor and Cabela's being in the central business district to the north, we feel like in talking with those guys that both will be very successful just to the distance apart. So we've tried to be very careful with that.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis, you're going to have to go over the money with me again. We talked about $3 million of public improvements. This contract is for more than $3 million. Explain that.
The contract, Councilman Culver, total amount is for $2,933,200.
$2,930,000, and that's to buy what?
We are buying a 3-acre tract of clear green space to remain as a buffer. We're buying almost 3 acres of public right-of-way that currently has what will be Cabela's Drive and all utilities within there, including sidewalks, curb and gutter. So pretty much all we'll have remaining is we will overlay that road again, resurfacing, just to increase its width and do signalization with in-house staff of traffic engineering at Governor's West and Cabela's Drive.
Okay, so maybe I misread it, but the contract is for $5-6 million. Is that correct?
Let me get, if I got total million. The contract amount in rough numbers is $3.5 million for what we're buying. There's a 2-acre tract that the city no longer needs that we're getting fair market value, which is valued at $650,000. So when you take out what we're selling, the balance comes to be $2,933,200.
Okay, so there's a total number minus this balance. So
That's correct. That's correct.
So, you, Mr. Duffner, you have those numbers?
Well, the same numbers.
Okay,
They're kind-
good.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Further questions?
And just for the council's record, the appraised value for everything that we're getting was close to $4 million.
Thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Double B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a development agreement between the City of Huntsville and Attitude LLC regarding Parkside Town Center. The chair moves. Go ahead, Mr. Dr. Showers.
I move to approve.
The chair will second it. Mr. Davis?
Council members, this is just a development agreement between us and Attitude LLC. In a nutshell, the development agreement protects the city to guarantee that we get exactly what we've asked for, and that's an anchored by Cabela's that is a full-size store with boats and implements and tractors and the museum type quality that their average customer spends 2.5 hours in. It also commits Attitude to finish out the Class A remaining retail, so we get a full development center. In turn, Attitude's requiring us to make the public improvements that I went over with you previously.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Double C is an ordinance declaring a portion of Lake 5 and Cummings Research Park as surplus property.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by the chair. Mr. Davis? I'm sorry. Correct that. We have to get unanimous consent to vote on that tonight. Chair moves for unanimous consent.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Ms. Culver?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We have unanimous consent. Dr. Showers, you can make your motion now.
Move to approve.
Chair seconds it. Mr. Davis?
Council members, this is you giving the city approval to declare this surplus so we can sell it to reduce our cost for the project. And it's the 2-acre tract that I mentioned earlier that its appraised value was $650,000, and that's the amount we're getting for it.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries.
Council members, before you move on, first I want to say thank you. But second, I got to get a shout out to the city attorney and his staff. The last week, there's been some miracles pulled off in the legal department getting these documents together, and they deserve some credit here. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elfron, and your department. We're at legal department items, transactions. 16A 1, 2, and 3 are vacations to easement. The chair moves for consolidation and approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. We're at non-roster communications from the public. Ms. Reed, you have 3 minutes.
It happens to be a roster issue, this last issue that we had just went through. If I could afford a New York lawyer, I'd hire one just to come down here and see some of these deals you all are making. You don't bring them up to the public. And I want to thank you, President Mark Russell, for asking the questions about the $5 million. I'd like to sit up there and ask more questions sometimes, because this is just what I said in the beginning a while ago. And I believe in good economic development, don't get me wrong. But I believe in these corporations coming in here need to bring some money to the table and lay it up on the table and let's see some of it, and then let's reach and do our fair share. The taxpayers, when I heard of the crying and a whining a while ago about our budget, and yet we've done Bridge Street, supposed to bring in all these millions of dollars. We do all this development that we should already be bringing in so much money. We don't have any problems in this city. We keep developing, we keep reaching, but where's the money that's coming in here? I want to see the employees a 4% raise like Athens gave their employees. The retirees need to raise. And 30-year streets. Mr. Shires, you and Clean been there 25 years. If we'd have done a street every 25 years, we'd have had the whole city up paved over already. Everybody's street in this city is bad news. So start thinking big money, because we need money. And these developers are not paying their fair share. Thank you. I love you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Mr. Hennessy.
Thank you. Walt Hennessy, 10,002 Hogan Drive, 35803. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. First of all, the Huntsville South had a very successful rummage sale down at the Star Market down in South Huntsville. And we raised, the final numbers aren't in, but we raised enough to buy, I think, one park bench for the new park that's going in down at on Cheney Thompson for the dog park down there. So we're getting there. We're going to get those benches that we committed to all bought. But we had a real good rummage sale. Also, I'd like to thank Mr. Madsen with the urban development. He came to our last board meeting and gave a very good update on the plans that he sees for South Huntsville and for Huntsville. And so I'd like to express our appreciation to Mr. Madsen for that. Also, the spay-neuter clinic. We are, as you probably heard, we're closed right now. However, we have a project going on that's called Fixing Fido. We have a lot of grant money that we're going to be able to provide vouchers for people that need to have their animals altered. So just call the clinic. We've made arrangements with veterinarians in the local area to do the procedures along with the voucher that the client would bring with them. So we're closed, but we're still getting animals fixed, and that's the most important thing. So, once again, I thank you for the opportunity to address the council, and everybody have a good Father's Day this weekend.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address the council? We're adjourned.